Thank you so much, Adrian. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Tan Sri Datuk Sri Panglima Town Planner Anwar Haji Musa, Minister of Communications and Multimedia Malaysia, Honorable Datuk Sri Hajah Nancy Shukri, Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Honorable Tuan Muhammad Shah Abdullah, Deputy Minister of Finance 1, Excellencies, distinguished colleagues in the arts and culture sector and the wider creative industries, ladies and gentlemen, media friends, Assalamualaikum. Hello, and a very good morning to all of you. Thank you to all for joining us today from near and far via Zoom and Facebook Live at our second Kuala Lumpur Creative Economy Forum that brings together the arts, donor, and businesses together for mutual benefit. KUL.CEF, my apologies, brings local and international thought leaders from various backgrounds and specialties for a series of engaging discussions to provide clarity and insight. And I hope that will inspire us to take actions in moving the cultural and creative economy. This year's KUL.CEF is one of the build-up events in conjunction with the United Nations International Year of Creative Economy for Sustainable Development, as it also prepares to welcome CENDANA's MOU Partners event, the World Conference of Creative Economy, taking place in Dubai Expo on 7th to 9th December 2021, with the theme of Inclusively Creative, Curating the Future. Not only that, but KUL.CEF is the first event that kicks off Art in the City, a program dedicated to art and performance with more than 100 dynamic, colorful, and optimistic performances and programs presented for the remaining year. The effort's first iteration in 2018 has since then spanned to include an array of music, dance, craft, film, food, heritage, history, and more, spread across 3 full months from October to December. Please do check out more, the lineup of events on buskl.com.my/AITC, the website link under the slide here. The COVID-19 completely disrupted the cultural and creative industries. We have heard from many artists, cultural practitioners, and obviously organizations through public surveys, industry consultation, and informal conversations. We have heard from you. And as you deal with and respond to the pandemic, and from the recent COVID-19 to the Arts and Culture report that has been concluded by CENDANA recently, what was illustrated in mid-2021 that 97% of our practitioners are negatively impacted, 77% having lost most or all of their income, 75% of the jobs in the market in Malaysia for the communities have been reduced, and 8% of our arts venues have closed permanently. Being in such a dire state, the sense of urgency is visible with the government introducing stimulus packages and spearheading campaigns in providing relief to out-of-work workers and creative businesses who are affected. Some markets have fared better than others, but many in the creative economy around the globe are facing the same problems as we are in terms of reduced earnings, loss of employment, and a fall in activity. And certainly corporations are prioritizing, my apologies, this morning a bit gaga, prioritizing the funds that may usually carved out for the arts to other areas, like distributing food aid and home subsidies to many. And this is understandably so. All of this said, in some respects, the pandemic has created an opportunity for all of us to reflect and reboot. As I'm sure many of you have observed, the creative economy has been at the forefront of technological adoption and was able to engage audiences via digital platforms, for example, online concerts, virtual museum tours, ebooks, movies, and more. Some creative content have actually grown during this crisis. In many ways, these stories and performances led by the industry have helped us during this pandemic and provide warmth and glee at a time when human contact was absent. On behalf of CENDANA and My Creative Ventures, thank you to the cultural and creative practitioners for giving that to us during that period of time and more. Also, massive gratitude to our medical frontliners who have been with us from the beginning of the pandemic. Honorable guests, for those who may not be familiar with us, CENDANA is a unit of My Creative Ventures, a wholly owned company of Minister of Finance Incorporated, and we report to the Ministry of Communications and Multimedia Malaysia. As Adrian mentioned earlier on, our main task is to develop and promote the cultural economy of Malaysia with an early focus in performing arts, visual arts, independent music, and craft. I thank the Ministry of Communications and Multimedia Malaysia and Ministry of Finance for ever being so supportive, the Board of Directors, CENDANA Exco and Industry Advisory Panel who have been truly exceptional in providing us the guidance, but also at the same time, I do want to thank the CENDANA team members who have been working with me from the beginning, who are big with hearts to have facilitated more than 4,000 applications for the various stimulus packages introduced, including Penjana, Prisma, Budget 2021 initiatives, and the upcoming Pemulih, and approving more than 20 million in the last 14 months. At this moment, based on our data from our milestone report, we have also observed that the source of funding for a lot of these cultural practitioners, 92% of it comes from the government and 8% comes from the private sector. Nevertheless, truly, the private sector's role is so key in the development of the cultural and creative economy. Thank you to them who have stepped up during this period by supporting our cultural and creative practitioners. Some examples include Yayasan Samdabi, who have provided 1,500 food aid support to those who are severely affected, Grab, who have supported musicians and production crew via online shows, Yayasan Telekom Malaysia, who have supported buskers online, CIMB Group and Yayasan Hasanah, who are bringing back the CIMB October Fair and Art for All Seasons to reactivate the sector this year, and the amazing media coverage from the media partners. The list is not exhaustive, and I apologize if I don't list it now, but the point I'm trying to make here is that the private sector has a role too in the development of the cultural and creative economy agenda. Bukit sama didaki, lurah sama dituruni. For us gathered here today, what this means really is that should we want a creative industry that is indeed sustainable, both financially and otherwise, one that is prepared to capitalize on all the promises of the future hold, and perhaps most importantly, one that we can all be proud of, then we have to do it together. Support for the creative economy can take shape in multiple forms, and it doesn't necessarily affect the balance sheets too much. As acknowledged earlier, our creative practitioners has helped us during the crisis. Perhaps it's time we paid back. As the restrictions on the creative industries is lifted, it's time for corporations and businesses to jointly lead the development of creative economy in getting them to bounce back. Align your involvement in the cultural and creative industries, whether it's with the Sustainable Development Goals or increase your ESG ratings by including the arts and creative industries into your budgets. Provide mentorship, business development advice, apprenticeships and training. Work with the micro creative businesses and seek local talent. And all this said, in some respect, purchase art by local artists, purchase craft by local artisans for your corporate gifts, adopt an art space, provide grants and subsidies, and many more. Let this be our way of restarting, reviving, and rebuilding the nation through the soul of the country, which is the cultural and creative sector. Let today's forum, with a very exciting lineup of speakers, case studies, best practices from Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, South Korea, Australia, and UK, inspire you to connect, to converse, to create partnerships, and most importantly, to take concrete actions. I'm happy to also share that there are curated follow-up workshops in collaboration with Kini Events for corporations, businesses, and industry to learn about corporate tax deduction when you get involved in developing the sector. Please do sign up for that too. In closing, thank you all for participating in this year's KUL.CEF. Thank you, Perdana Fellows Alumni Association, for taking this journey with us. Stay cool, stay safe, get vaccinated so we can rebuild the nation together. Thank you very much. And it also gives me great pleasure to introduce to you our chairman of My Creative Ventures, Encik Azmi Said, for the next remarks.